I never thought a single message could pull me back into a world I had promised myself I'd never visit again. Yet, one cool autumn evening, I received an email that changed everything. The subject line simply read, "Keep your promise," and the sender's address looked strangely familiar, almost like a friend I once trusted. I remembered the promise my best friend Eli and I had made years ago, that we would always watch out for each other, no matter what. Even though Eli had disappeared a few months back, his memory still burned brightly in my heart. I sat at my small desk in my quiet apartment and stared at the email. I knew that Eli's online account had been active before he went missing, but this message was different. It did not contain any details about his whereabouts or even a greeting. It was just the words, "Keep your promise," and a link that I was told would lead me somewhere important. I felt a mix of sadness and determination. With a deep breath, I clicked the link. The email's link took me into the hidden world of the dark web. I had set up my computer carefully, using a secure browser, a VPN, and a burner account, so no one could trace my activity. Still, I took every step slowly and carefully. I typed in the address and soon arrived at a neat forum called Faded Echoes. Unlike the wild, disorganized websites I'd seen before, this forum was organized and calm. Simple words, clear sections, and a few old pictures gave the space a quiet, eerie feeling. Scrolling through the posts, I discovered that the forum was filled with discussions about lost people and dangerous challenges. People talked in plain language about deals made with a mysterious group. Then, almost as if fate had guided me there, I saw a post with the name Eli in bold letters. Next to his name, the status read, "Missing in the trial." My heart sank. Was my best friend caught in something terrible? Before I could think of my next step, a private message appeared on the forum. The sender used the username Cypher. His message read, "Your friend's name is on the list. I know more. But be very careful. Trust no one. Reply if you are ready to learn." I hesitated for a moment. I did not know Cypher, but his words resonated with me. I replied simply, "Tell me what you know." Over the next hour, we exchanged short, clear messages. Cypher explained that the forum was run by a secret group that forced people into dangerous challenges they called trials. These trials were tests that people were forced to take part in, and failure meant disappearing forever. According to him, Eli had been dragged into one of these trials, and the forum served as a record of every name they controlled. Cypher also warned me that the group was very skilled in tracking online movements. Even though I had taken steps to protect my identity, they could still find me if I was careless. He suggested I use burner devices for any calls and never reveal my real name. I followed every piece of advice carefully and promised him I would be cautious. After the conversation with Cypher, I began reading more posts on Faded Echoes. The discussions were plain and direct. Some users shared stories of people who had taken part in the trials and then vanished without a trace. One post described a hidden meeting place using simple words like old building, quiet place, and no one should go there after dark. The post ended with a series of numbers and letters that looked like coordinates. I copied the coordinates into my secure notebook. They pointed to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of our small town. A chill of worry passed through me. This might be where the group held their meetings, and perhaps even where Eli was kept. I also found another clue, a digital symbol that kept showing up in many posts, a circle with a line through it. Cypher had mentioned that this symbol marked the group's mark. That night, I sat with my computer and reviewed all I had learned. I looked at the email, the forum posts, and the private messages from Cypher. I realized that the message, "Keep your promise," was not just a random call to action. It was a reminder of the bond I had with Eli and a challenge for me to find him. I prepared carefully. I gathered a small digital camera, my notebook, and a burner phone for any calls. I double-checked my VPN and made sure my Tor browser was ready. I wrote down everything I knew and saved copies of the forum pages. Before leaving, I sent one more message to Cypher. "I'm heading to the warehouse. Please watch my back." His reply was short. "Stay alert. We meet again soon." The next day, I set out under a gray sky. I took a bus to the edge of town, where the coordinates pointed me to an old warehouse that had long been forgotten by most. The building looked quiet from the outside. Its windows were dark, and many of its doors were locked or broken. A few wild plants had taken over the area, and the silence was almost complete. I approached the building slowly. Every step felt heavy with the weight of what might be waiting inside. I found a side entrance that was slightly ajar, just as one of the posts had described. I pushed the door open gently and stepped into a long, empty corridor. The air was still and smelled of old wood and dust. I activated my small camera and recorded everything I saw. As I moved deeper into the building, I noticed a faint glow coming from a room at the far end of the hall. I edged closer and peeked through a cracked door. Inside, a few people were gathered around old computers and monitors. The room was organized in a way that reminded me of the forum. Clean lines, simple chairs, and a large table in the center, with the digital symbol carved into it. I realized this must be one of their meeting spots. While I observed from a distance, I suddenly heard soft footsteps behind me. I turned quickly and saw a shadow pass by. I pressed myself against the wall and remained silent. I did not want to be seen. My mind raced with thoughts of the group's power and their ability to track anyone who got too close. I waited until the footsteps faded away before leaving the room. I made a careful exit through a different door, feeling that my discovery was enough for now. I took several pictures of the room and the symbol, knowing these would be important clues. Once outside, I walked back to the bus stop, my mind filled with more questions than answers. After returning home, I sat down at my computer to review the photos and videos. I uploaded them onto an encrypted drive and sent a copy to Cypher using our secure channel. I also added notes about the warehouse, the symbol, and the names I had seen on the forum. I was careful not to leave any details that could reveal my location. Later that evening, my burner phone buzzed with a new message. This time, it was not from Cypher, but from an unknown number. The text was simple. "Your steps are not hidden. We know you are near." I felt a tight knot of worry, but I forced myself to stay calm. I knew that every move had to be careful now. I replied with a short, cautious message. "I have nothing to hide. I follow my promise." I deleted the conversation right after, not wanting any trace behind. Over the next few days, I received more messages on the forum. Some users posted warnings about venturing too far into the dark web, while others talked about lost names and empty promises. The situation grew more serious when I discovered a thread titled "The Binding Contract." In this thread, people described how once you got involved with the group, their promise was not easily broken. They said that the group would keep coming back for you if you tried to escape their hold. Reading that, I knew I was now part of something much larger and more dangerous than I had ever imagined. I felt trapped by the promise I made to Eli so long ago. I could not ignore it, even if it meant risking my own safety. My only hope was to gather enough proof to expose the group and maybe force someone to search for Eli. I contacted Cypher again, and he wrote, promise binds more than words. Show them the truth and maybe others will wake up. Together with Cypher, I reached out to another online friend, Nova, who had experience in spreading information safely online. Nova assured me that if we could compile enough evidence, we might get the attention of local authorities or journalists who could force the group into the light. After weeks of careful work, I had gathered a collection of photos, videos, and forum messages. I double-checked every detail and made sure my files were secure. I arranged a meeting with Nova online to plan our next move. We decided to upload the evidence to a trusted website known for investigative reports. We set a time when our upload would go live, and I sent a final message to Cypher. I am ready. Today I keep my promise. As the scheduled time arrived, I sat before my computer and started the upload. Every file, every piece of proof felt like a part of the truth coming together. I watched as the progress bar filled slowly. Then, in the middle of the upload, my secure chat suddenly lit up with a new message from an unknown sender. It read, "Break your promise, and you will be forgotten." My stomach sank at those words. I knew that they meant to warn me, to scare me off, but I could not let fear win. I pressed forward with the upload, determined that the truth about the group and about Eli must be known. Within minutes, the files were live. I saw the evidence shared widely on the website, and comments started to appear from people who had long suspected something was wrong. Nova and I kept watch on the online feed, and soon news outlets began to mention the strange uploads. The reaction was swift and complicated. Local authorities opened an investigation into the dark web group, and some news stations picked up the story. Yet even as the public became aware of the evidence, I could not shake the feeling that I was being watched. Every time I turned on my computer or heard a sound outside my door, I felt the quiet reminder of that unknown threat. The dark web forum. Faded echoes went silent for a few days. Then, one late night, my secure email received one final message. It was from Cypher. "Your truth has been told, but our promise is never broken. Stay hidden." I closed my email and sat back. I knew that exposing the group had only made me a target. I changed my online identity, moved my files to a secure drive, and even began planning to leave my current town. I no longer felt safe, but I knew that keeping my promise to Eli was more important than my own comfort. Now, I live quietly in a small town under a new name, always careful, always looking over my shoulder. I keep my old notebook, filled with every detail of my journey, locked away. Every day, I wonder if Eli is still out there, if he ever managed to break free from the group's hold. I keep searching for him, even if that means living in constant caution. I share my story not because I want attention, but because I want others to know the price of promises made in the dark. Some secrets, once uncovered, can never be forgotten, and sometimes a promise can bind you to a fate you never asked for. For anyone who finds themselves tempted by the hidden corners of the internet, remember, every promise you make might come with a price, and once that promise is set, the darkness may never let you go.